not adjust their stomach.
Hi, Dawn. Yes, it's Dr. Heckman. How are you? Good. I wanted to give you an update on John. He's out of surgery and recovering, but he has a tough road ahead of him. He's septic and currently running a 106 temperature. Yes. Yes, and we're doing all that we can right now, but I want to be honest with you. It's touch and go right now. I'm not sure he can make it to the morning.
Are you talking about me?
Oh, no, I was talking about the other guy.
What other guy?
May not make the morning? Is this how it ends? I need more time. I mean, what have I done? It would be like I was never here. I should have shot a comedy special. The only thing I loved was doing stand-up. No one even knows who I am. You know what? I have to get the fuck out of here and get to the club. I'm shooting a comedy special.
Ladies and gentlemen, John Ziegler.
I got a mother who just turned 90. Relax. You guys aren't taking care of her. It's a lot of... Because look, when our parents get old, we have to take care of them. And sometimes we got to do stuff that we don't want to do. Like, take care of them. Like, as my mother's gotten older, the bottom of my mother's feet have gotten very dry and callous. I'm like, Mom, remember your foam slippers like 24 hours a day. Why do you... I went on an infomercial. You ever see this little, it's like a little wheel that spins? It's like a little mini belt sander. I bought that. I sit on a chair, I put my mother's feet up on my lap, and I take care of her. I do her feet. Guys, there is crazy dust. There's a lot of dust. If you walk by my apartment, you would think I was sheetrocking in there. I mean, it's... I actually put a paper napkin over my mouth when I do it. I'm like, can I get mesothelioma? I'm like, how do you... I feel like I might be eligible for a large cash settlement. And this picturing two lawyers, like, did you sand your mother's feet between 2018 and 2019? You might be eligible. We did the whole Medicaid thing. That's a very stressful process. The final step of Medicaid, they send a nurse out to where my mother lives, and they assess her. And based on that assessment, they determine how much aid you can get. And we really need this. So I told my mother, I go, look, Mom, they're coming. I need you to take a dive. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like, don't be all coherent when they show up. Like, you're going down in the fifth, and that's... I'm afraid she wouldn't do that. So I told my brothers and my sister, I go, look, the morning of Mom's assessment, we have to go over there. And we gotta kind of fuck her up a little bit, you know what I mean? Like, I set the clocks back, I moved some furniture around. I changed out the pictures of the grandkids. I put a Korean family in there. Here's the weird thing about Medicaid. Medicaid is just a program. You enter information into a computer, then it tells you what you're gonna get. If you have physical problems, the computer recognizes that and knows exactly what to give you. But if your problems are here with your memory, the computer doesn't recognize it. They declined my mother. They weren't gonna give her any assistance. So I looked at him, I go, Mom, look at me. I go, listen to me. I go, before that nurse leaves here today, I need you to shit in your pants. Like, if you can shit in your pants. Guys, I'm a good son. If she didn't want to do it, like I would have shit in her pants, but... It's sad when our parents get old. Like my mother wears the pull-up diapers, she wears the adult diapers, and I bought her a new couch. I don't want the couch to get wet, so I Googled it. They have these things in case you have a pet. You can put it over the couch. So I went to PetSmart, and I walk in, and the salesperson's like, what breed is it? I'm like, oh, geez. It's like Russian Polish, like Eastern European. She goes, sounds beautiful. When did you get her? I go, 1931. We got my mother an aide. She's there 24 hours, 7 days a week. And I had 40 aides the first 2 years I had a fire. So we found a great lady. And if you get a good one, take care of them, make sure they're happy. Every time I go to her, I bring her something. I brought her a blueberry muffin. And she loved it. And she's like, John, if I give you $1, can you get me 3 more of those blueberry muffins? I'm like, of course. I'm like, they're $4.50 each, but I'll give it a shot. I don't know. So it's cool I'm getting to shoot my special right here on Long Island. Thank you. Thanks. So I grew up 15 minutes away from here. I grew up in a town called Bethpage, and it's all right. It's not... I come from a Jewish family, and there wasn't a lot of There wasn't a lot of Jews in Bethpage back then. It was mostly Irish and Italian. Now, my last name is... What are you agreeing with me? I lived there, I know. My last name is Ziegler. It's not a traditional Jewish last name. Now, we celebrate Christmas and have a Christmas tree. That's a whole nother story, but it threw a lot of people off our scent. I'm not gonna lie. And people would always, when they find that I'm Jewish, they'd be like, Ziegler, what kind of name is Ziegler? They sounded pretty annoyed at me when I was saying it. Like I was hiding in a Jewish witness protection program. I went home and I asked my dad, and he said, well, when your grandfather came here, your last name was changed. My real last name was Ziegelfarb. You guys know how different my life would have been if I grew up as Ziegelfarb. I'd be living in a nice big house on the water in the Hamptons. Instead of a basement in Bethpage, I'd have a beautiful wife named Phyllis. 9-year-old kid with asthma. My life would have been great. I did move into a basement apartment, which I always swore I would never do. But I went and looked at it. It was very nice. My landlords were very cool. They're like, we have central air conditioning. I moved there. It's hot as hell down there. I call my landlord. I'm like, yeah, I don't think the air conditioning's working. They're like, oh, no. We have central air conditioning. I have a dehumidifier and a cricket. I've been living with one cricket. It's the kind that makes noise. I didn't know what it was. I Googled it. You know that's a mating call? They rub their legs together. That's the noise. And I'm like, I gotta kill it. It's gonna bang something. There's gonna be like 500 of them. It went on for 5 hours. I just laid in bed. At a certain point, I was just in bed going, dude, go to sleep. It's not your night. Like it's weird. When I grew up in my town back in the day, I worked in a video store in the 80s. It was before Blockbuster in Hollywood. It was the local video store called Broadway Video. And everybody... Did you miss the first 18 announcements about not yelling out? Don't worry, I'll just save up another 25 grand and shoot another one in 7 years. It's... It's funny because when I go back to Bethpage, people see me, and they all know me as the video guy. To this day. Like, I was in the supermarket, and the guy's like, hey, it's the video guy. I'm like, hey, man, how you doing? He's like, good, how are you? He's like, you still working at the video store? I'm like, do you think I'm a mentally challenged adult? Like, what do you... Like, no, I left. I got a good job over at the Photomat. I never know what to say to people when I bump into them. I'd see my old friends like, hey, man, how you doing? How was your summer? How's summer? I'm like, I'm 54. I don't have summer. It was great. I went to camp. Like, what do you think I did? It's been nice being able to travel for comedy again. That's nice. I just flew to Houston, Texas, and then drove my friend home all the way across country. So I called her before I got there. So do me a favor. Go on like Google Maps, get me all the directions before I get there. She goes, well, first we go through Louisiana, then Mississippi, then Alabama, then Tennessee. I said, all right, do me a favor. Go back on Google. And where it says keywords, I want you to type in the word Jew. Pretty sure it's going to reroute us. Just... Like, I just did a week in Lancaster, Pennsylvania. Nah. It's a shithole. It's the place of a shithole. It's Amish country. Guys, I don't know anything about the Amish. I walk into my hotel, and the kid working behind the counter is Amish. He's got the beard and the suspenders, and I thought that was pretty cool. Then I get closer. He's got face piercings and neck tattoos. It's confusing to me. I ask him about it. He goes, well, in Amish culture, you get 1 year. You can go out, do whatever you want. It's called Rumspringer. Yeah. He's like, it's awesome. He's like, I could bang whores, do meth. I'm like, I don't think that's what they had in mind. I think they meant like go see an R-rated movie, wear colorful socks. Like, this really escalated. Like, I don't watch news. I get all my information now off those signs on the expressways. That's where I get all my news. Like, you guys know what an Amber Alert is? It's when a child's gone missing. There's a lot of information. It's very detailed. When an adult has gone missing, it's called a Silver Alert. Nobody seems to give a shit. There's no information. It says, missing adult, Honda Civic. I'm like, that's it? That's what you're giving us? This is why I think that is. When a man's gone missing, he is very rarely missing. When a woman's gone missing, her husband has killed her. I Googled it. It's 100% of the time. You know the guy I'm talking about? He's always on the local news. He's always like, please help me find my wife. Like, I looked in the shed. She's not in the shed. And I'm just watching. I'm like, dude, they were arresting you in about 36 hours. I eat out all the time. I don't cook. I've been trying to eat healthy. They make that hard. Like the other night after my show, I stopped off at Dunkin' Donuts. And I asked the guy behind the counter, I go, hey, what's the least amount of munchkins that I can get? He goes, you can get one for 35 cents. I'm like, okay. He's like, or you can get 40 for $1.99. I'm like, it's... And it's one of those Dunkin' Donuts combined with Baskin Robbins. I look over, I go, do you have soft serve ice cream? It's like, we do. I go, can I get a small cup of vanilla? He's like, well, the machine is broken. I go, so you don't have soft serve ice cream? He goes, no, we have soft serve ice cream, but the machine is broken. No. He goes, you know what? Why don't you check with them in the Baskin Robbins department? And I'm like, And then that kid just comes over and changes his hat. And I'm like an asshole. I'm like, hey, how you doing? Do you have soft serve ice cream? He's like, I work in Dunkin' Donuts, man. I don't know. I'm a big fan of Chinese food. You know what I find really weird, though, about a takeout Chinese restaurant? How come every time I go in there, how come there's always a kid in there doing homework? And if you're like me, and you go to the same takeout Chinese restaurant like year after year, one day you walk in there, now that kid is just behind the counter. I'm like, what the hell were you studying all those years? What was in those books? Recipes? Like, I don't... My favorite part, they never close. Do you guys get as excited as I do when you call there during a blizzard and they pick up the phone? They're like, hello, China Inn. I'm like, holy shit, you're open? Like, pick up or delivery. I'm like, delivery? How the hell you getting a bicycle down Main Street? Like, I don't... See, I'm very generous with my money. I'm a principled person. Do you know what I mean by that? Like, I'll go to a steakhouse. I will spend $300. I won't blink an eye. Try to charge me $1 for extra salad dressing. Like, we're gonna wrestle in the aisle. It's not gonna happen. Give you an example. I take my mother to like a little pizzeria. She's 90 years old. She's not hungry. So I go, Ma, you'll have some of mine. And I asked the waitress for a plate. And she goes, we have a $3 sharing charge. I go, listen, if you can get me a plate, that would be great. I go, or I'm gonna put my meatball right into that bread basket. And my mother's gonna eat it with her hands like some kind of wolf boy, but... Not getting $3, it's... My girlfriend just had her 50th birthday. I bought her a card. I don't know what to get with cards. You know what cards I like? You ever see those cards that are the year the person was born? And then it tells you all cute little facts about what happened that year? I like those. It'll be like, Louie Louie was #1 on the charts. The Slinky was invented. Bobby Kennedy was shot in the head and killed. Happy birthday. I'm like, whoa, that's... Took a hard left. I feel bad for the kids born in 2020. It's gonna be a shitty card one day. It's gonna be like the #1 movie in the country was nothing. Wet Ass Pussy was the #1 song. Happy birthday. Me and my girlfriend went to an adult store. It's a girl store. There's not men. I'm like, you have any men's stuff in here? Like, it's on the end cap. The end cap? What is it, old bread? What do you mean it's on the end cap? Like, what do you... This is all they had. I went over. It was a bunch of, whole bunch of rubber vaginas. And there was one butt plug. Just one. And I got to thinking, you ever go to the supermarket and you grab a box of cereal, then you walk around, you go, I don't need this, and you throw it by the whisk? That's what I think. The rubber vaginas are weird because the front of the box is clear plastic. And then there's like a star, but there's a hole in it, and it just says, try me, and you can put your finger. And I was like, I can put my finger in the communal rubber vagina. But you're gonna make me wear a mask in the store. Like, is that what you... Yeah. Yeah. Felt a little like a rally there. You guys all right? That's... I just bought a new car. And I learned that I don't care about what most men care about when buying a car. I just don't care. I walk in and like, this car has 250 horsepower, got a 2.5 liter engine. I'm like, really? I'm like, sometimes I like to get the big iced coffee and it never fits in this cup holder. Like, this car has 18 airbags. I'm like, that sounds excessive. Will I be killed immediately upon impact? Like, that's... Is there a dish for my change? Do you have a... I go to the store the other day. I always love when they ask me if I have a coupon, because I never do. But I just lie. It just becomes like this game of chicken at the counter. He's like, you have a coupon? I go, you guys emailed me something. I got... And he's waiting till one of us cracks. It ain't gonna be me. And I can see the line forming. He's starting to sweat a little bit. I'm like, let me check. It probably went to my spam folder. It's... You have a Wi-Fi password? What's your Wi-Fi password? He's like, dude, 80% off. Just get out of the store. Like, I just bought a new bed. That's another weird purchase. You go to the mattress store, it's you and the sales guy. There's never anybody in there. And you always got to try the bed, like, right in front of your sales guy. Was it this one? And he says, how does that feel? I'm like, honestly, feels like I'm gonna get murdered in my sleep. You mind going in the stockroom for like 5 minutes so I can get my underwear and eat Doritos, see how this... That mattress was $4,000, I can't afford that. It's too much. And he's like, you spend a third of your life in bed. I'm like, it's like 2/3, but I can't afford... Because I'll get you this exact mattress for $1,000 at our mattress warehouse. I'm like, what's going on over there? It's weird. So you know what it is? If you buy a mattress and don't like it, you can send it back in a certain... So I'm like, oh, it's used. And he goes, well, they're completely sanitized. It's actually cleaner than the ones we have here in the store. I'm like, you're the worst salesman ever. Like, what do you... Like, I had to go to my dry cleaner the other day. I don't get their business practices. I walk in there on a Monday. I drop off 2 sweaters. The guy's like, you want to pick them up next Friday? I'm like, next Friday? I was kind of hoping for tomorrow. He's like, okay, tomorrow. I'm like... And I was expecting some kind of counteroffer. And now I'm concerned because he's just shaved 13 days, like right off this process. I'm like, dude, you're still cleaning my shit though, right? You're not just... Like, I go into my bagel store the other day. I don't know what happens to people's math skills when they get inside of a bagel store. Like, I get behind this lady. She's like, can I get a dozen bagels? I'm going to get 2 sesame, 2 poppy. Give me 1 plain. How many is that? How many is that? The guy's like, 5. 5. She's like, how many more do I get? How many? And then it just continued. She's like, I'm gonna get 2 cinnamon raisin, give me 1 garlic. How many is that? He's like, it's 8, but just when you buy 12, you're gonna get 2 free. I thought her head was gonna explode. So my life took a change last year. So in April of 2021, I got sick. I ended up getting diagnosed with cancer. And you don't know, like there was no symptoms. This is how I knew I was sick. I was sleeping, I was laying next to my girlfriend, and I kind of got like acid reflux in the middle of the night. And I woke her up, I go, honey, I kind of threw up, it came up into my throat. And she woke up and she's like, did you get any on the sheets? I'm like, yeah, probably, I'm sorry, should I have swallowed it? I don't know what, I knew something was wrong because when I peed, my pee was very dark. And I thought something, so I Googled it, and it said, if your pee is amber, that's not good. And then I Googled amber. And it pulled up like a Benjamin Moore paint swatch. And I had to take my phone while I peed. And I'm like, I don't know, this could be terracotta, or maybe like a burnt sienna, I don't. So I went to the hospital, and the first thing they do is they give me an MRI, and they put you in the tube, and they're like, you claustrophobic? I'm like, I'm not. And then they put me in the tube, and I open my eyes, and the hood of the tube is right here. And I freaked out, and they had to pull me out of the tube. He's like, I thought you're not claustrophobic. I'm like, dude, I'm not. That's buried alive. It's a completely normal response to that. So he gave me these special glasses that I put on. It has a system of mirrors. So I don't see this. I see what's above me. And I can hear him. He's talking to me, and he goes, what do you see, John? I go, I see the room behind me. He goes, you doing all right? I go, yeah, well, like I still know I'm in the tube. Like you're not playing peekaboo with a 1-year-old. You're like, who's in the big room? Is Johnny in the big room? I'm like, I know I'm in the tube. So they found something, and they had to do a biopsy. And I go, how long does this take? They go, 5 business days. I'm like, what is it, an Amazon package? Like, can I sign up for Biopsy Prime? Can you get me this quicker? And you gotta wait. So I called my friends, who were all like, what hospital are you at? I'm like, I'm at Northwell. They're like, dude, you don't want to be at Northwell. I'm like, you work in a mailroom. I'm like, what the fuck do you know? I wasn't like I'm at Bob's Pancreas Emporium. It seems like they own like 50 hospitals. I was at Long Island Jewish. The name Jewish is right in the title. I'm like, I think these guys are pretty good. It's funny when you go through this, because everybody knows somebody that has what you have. They all have a story. It's like, you know what, I work with this guy whose sister works in a hair salon, and the shampoo girl, her uncle, has what you have. And John, they told him he was going to live 6 months. And he lived a year. I'm like, you know, that's a horrible story. Why would you? If that story doesn't end with, and now they're fine. It's a bad story. I had to get a surgery. It's called a Whipple surgery, which is a really serious surgery with like an adorable name. Nobody felt bad for me. It sounds like a summer treat, a Dairy Queen. They're like, I'm getting a Whipple. They're like, I can go for a Whipple. I had a very positive doctor. I had a surgeon who was fantastic. And I remember him going like, John, how you doing? You optimistic? And I was like, look, doc, this is what Steve Jobs died of. He had $40 billion. I have Emblem Health. The bronze plan. The way I found out that I had cancer, they thought it was a problem with my gallbladder. That's all they told me. Then some doctor walked into my room one day, and he goes, what's going on? I go, he goes, yeah, I don't think this is your gallbladder. He goes, there's a mass by your pancreas. I'm pretty sure you have cancer. And I was like, damn. And then he was like, what do you do for a living? I go, I'm a comedian. He goes, I just saw you last week, dude. You're really funny. And I was like, Doc, next time, open with that. And then close strong with the cancer. And he just left my room. That was it. And then a social worker came in who's not been updated. The social worker thinks I have like an inflamed gallbladder. She's like, hey, John, how you doing today? And I'm like, I have pancreatic cancer. And she's like, no, you don't. I'm like, no, I do. And she started flipping through her chart. And I felt bad for her because she can tell she was nervous. So she started going off script. She was like, well, John, you're in New York City. We have the best doctors. There's the theater district, fine dining. I'm like, what the hell are you talking about? It's funny, you remember the first thing that goes through your head when you hear that. Everybody thinks they know what's going to go into their head. Mine was, I always thought it was going to be a car crash. That was the first. Because I'm a terrible driver. And it makes sense. I don't smoke. I don't drink. I exercise. Cancer. I was like, what the hell? If you told me I died merging onto the Bell Parkway, I go, yeah, that sounds right. That's. Every time I get in the car at night, I think, this is it. This is how it ends. I drove home from Connecticut on Saturday. I was on the Throgs Neck and it was pouring raining. I couldn't see anything. I just remember going, well, you know, if I just go straight, I should be all right. I don't think the bridge has any bends in it. Like, the weird thing about the cancer I had is where it was. You can't tell what it is until after the surgery. So they notice something, but they can't tell you. So I'm like, it could have been like several types of cancer. My doctor's like, it could be lymph nodes, it could be bile duct, it could be pancreas. I go, what am I rooting for? Like, I don't know. Like, if this was a horse race, would I be like, come on, bile duct, let's go, bile duct? Like, would I? And he was like, yeah, pretty much. You don't want pancreatic. That's what he told me. So I was like, okay. So when I was waiting after the surgery, that biopsy takes 8 days. At my phone, I was just getting text. I go, I can't respond to 200 text messages. I told my girlfriend, I go, this is what we do. When I get the biopsy results, I just invite everybody over. And we'll have like a big cancer reveal party. I didn't do it. Which is good, because the cake, it would have been amber if I cut that cake. It's not the horse I was rooting for. So it turned out it was stage 2 pancreatic cancer. So they put me on, I had to do 6 months of chemotherapy. And chemotherapy, it's pretty rough. So I have to meet a consult. I have to meet my doctor. And they talk to you about like side effects. And the first question she asked me, she's like, what kind of birth control do you use? I'm like, that's a weird question. Why do I need to know that? And she's like, well, your semen is contaminated from the chemo. I'm like, I have toxic cum? Is that what you're telling me? She's like, which is gross. But it's a great name for a metal band, you got to admit. It's a good name. I remember after my surgery, it's a really rough surgery. It's a 3-month recovery. It's a big incision. And I remember telling my girlfriend, we were sitting on the couch, and I just go, after this surgery, chemo's going to be a walk in the park. Guys, the worst park I've ever been in. It's a horrible. This was Central Park in the 90s. If I was wearing a sports bra, that's how bad. Not good. When I finished chemo, I've been off chemo for 3 months now, and when I finished, my doctor was like, "You have any questions?" I'm like, "Can I come on people again? Like, what's the... like, I'm on probation for a while? How does it..." I did that joke at a show like a month ago. And there was a drunk guy in the front row who heckled me all night. And you couldn't even understand him. He'd just be like, and his head was down on the table. He was sleeping. And I did that joke, and he picked his head up, and clear as day went, "Coming on people is fun." And then his... And I had no comeback. I was just like, he's not wrong. I don't know what to... It's weird when you get sick. As soon as I would get home, my friends would call me, people I haven't spoke to in 10 years. They're like, "Dude, you know, we got to get lunch. Everybody wants to take me to lunch." I'm like, "I've known you 20 years. We've never had lunch." I get so many offers now, I just weigh them out. The other day, I canceled an IHOP for a Ruth Chris. It's a good deal. Everybody gives me like these holistic ideas. You know, I'm not a big believer in that stuff. Like, I'm doing it the traditional hard way with chemotherapy. And they're like, "Have you tried acai berries?" I'm like, "Yeah, that's not..." That's what I got. My friends are like, "You know what? You should try turmeric." I'm like, "Dude, this is way past turmeric." Like, the turmeric ship has sailed. Even the hospital, they recommended this book. It's called Chris Beats Cancer. It's about a guy who just ate organically in juice, and supposedly he cured himself of his cancer. My sister bought me the book for Christmas, and I read it, and it was like, I was trying to be open-minded. It was a pretty good book. It was interesting, and I just thought he has a second book coming out I just bought. It's called Chris is Riddled with Cancer. So right now I'm clean. They don't see anything. I have scans coming up in 2... My scans are in 8 days, and how silly are you guys gonna feel? My girlfriend's been talking we've been talking about getting married, and she's like, "That's..." I didn't open it up for debate. It wasn't a... So I said, right now, I told her, I go, "Look, let me get through this next set of scans. Let's see what's happening." And she said, "So you telling me if your scans are good, we can get married?" I'm like, no. If my scans are very, very bad. Because I can do this for like 6 to 8 months. 20 years? I don't know. It's harder when you're sick and you're not religious. Like, I'm an atheist. When I was laying in that hospital bed, I was like, I should probably try to pray. Just to like cover my ass, like, I don't know. I was just laying there, I'm like, maybe those other 8 billion people, maybe they're right. And I'm wrong. I don't think so, but... So I said my first prayer. And I didn't even know how to do it. Like, I didn't know like what volume you do it. I was like, dear God, I'm like, is that... I was like, "Dear God, just get me through this." And then I just started lying, like spewing lies. I'm like, "I'll never look at porn." I'm like, "I'm totally gonna look at porn." Like, I don't think this is the way you're supposed to do it. You think about things that you've never had to think about before. Like, I know if my scans come back really bad, I've decided I kind of want to go out on my own terms. I don't want to be one of those sick guys. And I went to a cancer hospital. I watched it. I don't want to be that guy. So I'm like, if my scans, God forbid, come back really bad, I'm going to travel and enjoy my life, and then I'm probably going to figure out how to, take my own life. I'll figure it out. But I don't know how to, I'm afraid of it. I don't know how to do that. I was watching TV with my girlfriend. She had a pad out, and she looked over, and I was like, "Jump from building." She's like, "What the fuck are you doing?" Because the problem is, people who do commit suicide are in pain. They're depressed. They're in a lot of pain, so it takes guts to do that. I'm not in pain. I'm pretty happy, actually. My suicide is more proactive. I'm trying to get out ahead of it. One on my list was jump in front of train. That always looked like you can't, but I don't think I can do it. I think I'd just be at the train all day like, here it comes. Oh. And then the train would come. I'm like, there's a 516. I'm going to get the 516. It's not. My friends gave me advice to just get in a garage and run a hose into your car. I don't even have a garage. I have to borrow a garage. And my friends, they know I'm a Jewish guy. They're like, you're not changing your own oil, dude. What do you want my garage for? Some states have assisted suicide. Like the state of Washington has it. I researched this. But you gotta be like a resident. It's just weird. I'm like, hi, I'm here for the lethal injection. Here's my library card and a cable bill. Like, how do you do that? You think being as sick as I got, it would change your perspective on life. You know what I mean? But you are what you are. Like, I came out of the hospital, I had lost 35 pounds. I had tubes and bags hanging out of my side. And I went to the bagel store. And I was like, can I get an iced coffee and just like a plain bagel? And they were like, $8.50. I'm like, $8.50? I was like... And there's part of you that's like, I should just let this go. There's another part of me that's like, I'm back, baby. This is... People were so goddamn nice to me when I got sick. Like, it changed it. Like, it really was. Like, my neighbors, somebody left a lasagna on my steps with a card with $500 in it. And I went to my landlord, I go, where did this come from? And they go, they want to be anonymous. I go, that's very nice. I go, but I can't eat stoop lasagna. I kind of need to know. It's very sweet, but I'm not eating curb ziti. Tell me where it... People tell me I'm looking pretty good for somebody. I've only been on chemo for 3 months. You should stop clapping. This can go horribly wrong in 2 weeks. But I don't like the fact I gained all my weight back for the most part. I grew my head was shaved. I grew my hair back. And I look okay, but I'm losing my cancer perks. I went to dinner with my friend the other night, and I'm like, can I leave a tip? He was like, yeah, you can leave the tip. I'm like... you know I'm still pretty sick, right? They opened up they started, my friends here at a comedy club right here through Governors. These guys all started a GoFundMe account. It was very humbling. And it's weird when you have a GoFundMe, because I'm not used to people giving me money. I didn't know how to behave. When people give you money, this is for your medical bills. I was in Saks Fifth Avenue the other day. And I saw my friend Darlene, who gave me $1,000. I hid behind the Michael Kors rack for 10 minutes. What? How long do I have to pretend to be poor? I don't know how it works. But how nice people were kind of made me feel like a really shitty person, and I'm being honest. Because people, I said, they gave me money. People wrote me the most beautiful letters and cards. They called and checked on me every day. And I felt like a bad person, because I know if they had cancer, I'd send an emoji. I'm not a monster. Kidding aside, guys, I've had a pretty wonderful life, and I hope I get to stick around a little longer. Thank you very much for this. Thank you, guys.